creativity and I can draw. If you think so too, then subscribe for more. Now, today I'm going to be answering the question, are alcohol markers really worth the hype, the attention that they get? Well, let's find out in my very first time trying alcohol markers. Let's get into it.
And today I will be testing them out. I got the portrait set, landscape set, and the shades of grey set. Now, let's get into it. So, the first con that I noticed about these markers is that the packaging is very difficult to open. It took me ages. Literally, you can see how much struggle I had opening these. Let's take an up-close look at these markers. So, it claims it is high-quality alcohol-based, acid-free, non-toxic marker by Artiste Docraft. Hope I pronounced that right. There is a chisel nib and a brush tip, as you can see. I found them to be very good quality, but second con I noticed, very hard to close. Oh, and they have their own colour name and colour number on the sides. Now, let's lay them all out and see what we have here. Oh, another con about these markers, they roll very easily, as you can see. Finally, it's down to trying them out. Unfortunately, I have no clue what the colour numbers meant, so this is just testing them out. And I realised that N equals neutral, C equals cool, and I think E equals earthy and BG background, but I'm not entirely sure. Now, swatching. So, I've skipped straight to the blending test. I'm using the brush side for this. I've blended two similar hues, although very different in tonal value. As you can see, this lighter one is better blended. Here's a close-up. Now, finally, on to what you've all been waiting for. Swatching all of them, all laid out, one page, 2 tests per one. The top one is the brush nib, the bottom one is the chisel nib. I started off with the landscape colours set, and then went on to the portrait, and finally the greys. There's quite a good variety in them all. Although, I realised another con. These 2 swatches, the third one of the portrait and the first of the landscape, are almost entirely the same. And then the third one of the landscape and what the No, and the fourth of the portrait, quite similar. Almost exactly the same if you ask me. I find it very strange that they have very different colour names, but they're almost exactly same in hue. Very strange. Anyways, I think this provides a good range in all three of the sets. I think the greys will come in handy for maybe some shading. And now, let's see. How much did these bleed? Nothing to the next page. Through a little bit of the actual page, I'm looking at the colours now, because it's time to properly test these out in the drawing. This is my first colour. Starting with a brush tip. And I'm just going to try and attempt at drawing a realistic eye. There's no black in these sets, unfortunately, so I just had to use the very darkest brown in many layers to get that pupil and those eyelashes. And the camera died. Now, it's an hour later and you can really tell with the lighting. So I am just blending out that darker colour with the lighter colour, which works really well. But unfortunately you can't do the same with the darker colour over the lighter colour. And I'm just checking the swatches to check that I've used the right colours. Here's an up close. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And so...
Hey people, so what exactly are my thoughts on alcohol markers? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they even worth the hype? Well, I think that they are, but maybe not to the degree that they're getting. I think it's amazing how much you can do with them, but they do have their limits, like all mediums do. Obviously, you can't lay down light over dark, and it is kind of hard to achieve glazes, and blending is very different from any other medium I know, and kind of reminds me of digital art. I think that they are more well suited to abstract art and more stylised art styles and graphic design than realistic portraits like I prefer to do. Now, pros and cons. Okay, cons first of all. They are difficult to glaze. As I'd found with the markers that I was using, they have a lot of ink blots. They roll very easily. Quite hard to open packaging, at least the brand I tried. There were a few duplicate colours in my sets, and quite hard to get fine details. Also, be aware that they do bleed through the paper, and that they do have quite a strong smell when you first lay them down. Now, on to pros. They have bright, bold, vibrant colours. Very satisfying when you stroke it across the paper. Very satisfying marks it makes and a sound. The markers I tried, they had a very good design with the name on the barrel. They had an indicator for the brush and the chisel nib. They have colour names and colour numbers, and they give some indication about what they even are. Also, a very good range of colours. I found with these colours, well, they don't really have very many sort of bright colours, but I have definitely enough I need to do a good portrait, like head to shoulders level. Even in these landscape set, there were some good portrait colours. In the portrait set, there were some good landscape colours. Still complement each other. And they don't bleed as much through the paper as I thought they would. I mean, when you think about it, this paper is thinner than printer paper. It's that thin. And somehow, most of the time, unless I laid it down really heavy, nothing bled through to the next page. And obviously there's some ghosting of it through the page, but what do you expect? It's 70 GSM. I found that there's another con is that they do, and the ink does get onto the packaging. As you can see here, with this marker, very beat up from these ink bleeding through. And another pro is that they have quite smooth coverage, like you don't need to press hard to get them to lay down properly. It's not like with a gel pen or something. I mean, I know that's a strange comparison. You lay it down and you have to go over the same area a few times. It's nice, wet and smooth. I'm not really sure of the word that I'm trying to think of. Now, would I recommend these? Most definitely, yes! If you're looking for a quick way to block in the base of a drawing, and with very vibrant colours, or just to have some fun and experiment, yes! Especially for beginners, I think this brand is really good for beginners. I don't think, I mean, I know these aren't the same as something like, let's say, Copics, but for now, they're good enough. One con that I think you should be aware of, though, is that they are not very light fast, most alcohol-based markers. Which means they can fade easily if you expose them to the sun. That is why I was sort of putting off buying these until a relative got them for me for Christmas. But I think it was a great decision to actually get into them, not just let them sit on a shelf or something. I definitely had some fun today, and I really hope you did too watching this video. Now, before you go, make sure to press that like button down below for more vids just like this, and click that notification bell for vids you surely won't want to miss. Don't forget to subscribe and keep an eye out for my next video. Wishing you all a happy new year and a good welcome to 2022. Guess I'll see you then. Bye.